Alright lads and lasses, let's have a proper chat about Newcastle United and what's going on behind the scenes. We all know that the January transfer window didn't exactly bring us the reinforcements we'd hoped for. But there's still a lot to talk about when it comes to strengthening the squad. With the window shut, some fans have been asking, can Newcastle bring in a free agent to boost the team? Technically yes, but Eddie Howe isn't too keen on the idea. And honestly, when you think about it, there's a solid reason behind that stance. For 3 consecutive transfer windows, Howe hasn't had the luxury of big-name signings to directly improve the starting arms. Last summer's window wasn't exactly a blockbuster. And now, with Miguel Almiron heading back to MLS and Lloyd Kelly joining Juventus, we've got a squad that looks thinner than we'd like, especially in key areas. Now, Almiron and Kelly weren't automatic starters this season, but their departures have left gaps in the squad. And with injuries and fixture congestion, depth is something we desperately need. But when it comes to free agents, Howe's approach is clear. He'd rather trust the academy than bring in a player just for the sake of it. Chris Waugh from The Athletic put it perfectly. There's no indication that Newcastle are looking at free agents, and it's not something Howe is inclined to do outside of transfer windows. Makes sense, right? Unless it's a crisis like when Loris Karius joined in 2022, after our goalkeeping situation hit rock bottom. Howe doesn't really see the point in short-term fixes. And here's the thing, most free agents available now simply aren't good enough to truly improve the squad. The reality is that Howe wants players who can genuinely elevate the team, not just fill a gap. When you're competing at the highest level, you can't just sign anyone. Instead, Howe is looking closer to home, putting his faith in the club's young talents. And we've got some exciting prospects waiting for their moment. Sean Neve and Trevin Sanusi are 2 names you need to remember. Neve, at just 17, was included in the matchday squad for the FA Cup win over Birmingham City. That alone shows that Howe sees something special in him. Meanwhile, Sanusi, also 17, has already made his debut, stepping onto the pitch against Bromley last month. He's got the raw talent and flair that could make him a future star for Newcastle. And let's not forget, the departure of Almiron could actually work in Sanusi's favour. With fewer options on the wing, there's every chance that this young lad gets more game time before the season ends. If Newcastle need extra attacking firepower, it's better to give a hungry academy player a shot, rather than signing a free agent who might not be up to scratch. So, while the free agent market is an option, don't expect Newcastle to dive in anytime soon. Howe's strategy is long-term. He's building something special, and we're here for it. Now, let's talk about a situation that caught quite a few of us by surprise. Odysseus Vlachodimos staying put at Newcastle. If you had asked most fans in January, they would have probably expected the Greek international to be packing his bags. But here we are, and he's still a Magpie. So what really happened? Let's rewind a bit. Newcastle signed Vlachodimos for 20 martages in the summer, and let's be honest, we all thought he'd get more chances than he has. The guy has only played 45 minutes of football since joining. That's right, just one half in the Carabao Cup against AFC Wimbledon back in October. And even after Howe said he played well, he hasn't had another chance since. When the January transfer window rolled around, there was a lot of talk about him potentially leaving. Clubs from all over Europe were interested, and even a move to Saudi Arabia was on the table. Al-Shabaab came knocking, but Vlachodimos turned them down. He wanted to stay in Europe. With Nick Pope out injured, Vlachodimos was second choice behind Martin Dubravka, which at least kept him in the mix for some bench appearances. But with Pope back now, his chances of playing have basically disappeared. So why didn't he leave? According to Chris Waugh from The Athletic, it was Vlachodimos' decision to stay, not Howe'S or sporting director Paul Mitchell's. Newcastle would have been open to letting him go in January, but the 30-year-old wanted to fight for his place. Fair play to him for that, but let's be real, he's not likely to get much game time for the rest of the season. And here's where things get even more frustrating. When Newcastle made 9 changes for the FA Cup win against Birmingham City, Vlachodimos still didn't play. Instead, John Ruddy was named on the bench, leaving Vlachodimos out of the squad entirely. That was a clear sign that, at this moment, he's not in Howe's plans. To make matters worse, some pundits have already branded his move to Newcastle as a mistake. Greek football commentator Christos Sotirakopoulos went as far as saying he should have signed for another club in Europe where he could actually play. So what happens next? Dubravka's contract expires in the summer, which could open the door for Vlachodimos to finally get a chance, if he's still around by then. Mark Gillespie and Ruddy could also leave, meaning the goalkeeping department might be in for a big shake-up. For now though, it looks like Vlachodimos will remain on the sidelines, waiting for an opportunity that might not come, a wasted signing or a long-term project. Only time will tell.